Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here, Ronald. Can you type and let me know if you can indeed hear me and see me? Yes. Absolutely. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You're always a little nervous on a newer platform. So I've certainly done these quite a bit, but this is a new platform. So I'm hoping all that practice works out. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And are we ready, set to go? Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining me. I am Dr. Twana Carter, and I'm a career transition coach for women over 40. I coach professional women to overcome the anxiety and doubt that can come from transitioning into a new career, especially into entrepreneurship, which is what I'm here to talk about today. So, I'm going to be sharing with you all how to launch your career with complete, should be how to launch your business with complete confidence, right? That is definitely a career change. So, starting out, I want you to take just a few moments and write down one, two, or three things that you want to get from today's workshop. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. So, and please help me, Aronia, if I don't pronounce it right. But yes, I am giving out copies of the slide. I have a link at the end. So if you would be my reminder, because I get excited when I talk. I am from the South. I get really excited about my subject, and the faster I talk. So, good afternoon, everybody. I am not offended if you tell me, hey, Dr. Carter, Dr. T, slow down a bit. You're really excited. You're talking really fast. I will claim being from Alabama all day long because that is where I am from. So, if you don't mind sharing a couple of things, if you want to, drop in the chat your intentions from today's session. I always like to start off with intentions. It's very important when you talk about being an entrepreneur. Yes, goals are important, but sometimes intentions are a little bit gentler. So start off with your intentions to be sure, number one, that I meet them, but also that you meet them. So, for those of you who don't know me, I told you that I'm a career coach and I coach professional women over 40 to change careers and to launch their business, right? And so, as you look at this, this is a chapter, and this actually covers some table of contents from my life, right? But what this doesn't tell you is that I grew up in poverty, right? And what this doesn't tell you that I was bullied quite a bit as a child, called big-eyed, pop-eyed, ugly, too tall, too thin. You can name it, someone has probably said it about me, right? This also doesn't tell you that I have anxiety. I have a special kind of anxiety that's called social anxiety. So it caused me to fear being judged, to fear taking risks, right? I feared people in authority figure, and you can imagine you saw it there, United States Army captain. Yeah, there's a storm veteran. You can kind of imagine a little bit problematic with being afraid of authority figures when you're in the army, but it doesn't, these chapters don't really tell you that. You don't even see that I came out of poverty and then became a single parent and dropped back into poverty, right? So I'm sharing that with you because when I go along in a few moments, I'm going to tell you why those things are important. We all have our journeys. Some people came in middle class, all the way, but we still all have our journeys, and those journeys affect how we become entrepreneurs. So, I have 5 promises to you today, 5 things that I promise to give to you when I deliver these 5 tips that I'm talking about today. Number one, I'm going to tell you the biggest obstacles that holds back entrepreneurs, the biggest thing that we have to work on. And no, it isn't funding. I know, not funding, right? Also, you will discover the importance of finding your why. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? It can't be just about making money. It's got to be something else, right? And so, Erroneous says, I listen for resources, confirmation that I'm on the right track, and motivation. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, my third promise to you is you'll be able to explain the significance of why you need a business plan or blueprint, as well as why you need a support team plan. Most of you have probably heard about the former, maybe not the latter. I am also going to share with you today to make sure that you understand the benefits of leaking why you do something, why are you doing this, to a need for somebody somewhere, right? The importance of that. And then finally, I am going to share with you the two arch enemies of all entrepreneurs. Okay? So those are my promises to you. So, who is this class for? This class is, you know what? Yes, this class is for if you are tired of dealing with toxic work environments and unfulfilling jobs that don't align with your purpose anymore. And if you're tired of being just stuck in a job, just getting paid, right? There's no potential, there's no growth, but you take home a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever that is. And you also know that you're ready to actually create your own success. You followed someone else's pattern. You've done the working for other people, making them successful and making their money. But right now, you want to create your own path to share your talents with the world, to share your purpose, which gets to that why we talked about, right? And this is much better than doing 2 to 3 times the work at your job and not getting paid for it and not even being acknowledged for what you're doing. So, if you're ready to break free instead of falling into a job at a exploitive um, mega corporation, this is where you need to be. You would rather go down fighting, right, than to quit on your dreams. Then you are exactly in the right place. You're right where you need to be. Hello, Regina. Thanks for joining. Good afternoon. I appreciate you all for being here. So let me go ahead and plug the Small Business Administration. Most of you know it as SBA. So if you do a little Googling out there, they have 10 steps that you need to start a business, right? And those are the steps right there. Definitely do that market research. You need a business plan. Yep, you need funding. Some of you will need funding. I did not when I started. My journey was a little different, but you may need to pick a business location, choose a business structure. Are you going to be, LLC? Are you going to be a C corp, S corp, sole proprietor? All of that, right? And as well as choose your business name. You need a name, right? This one tripped me up for about 5 years. Okay, I can't start a business because I can't find a name. At least that's what I told myself. It was actually something else. We'll talk about it in just a few moments. Register your business. Be sure you get your federal and tax ID and all that kind of stuff. Apply for licenses, permits based on where you are, and open a business checking account, bank account, and then you open shop, right? So that's what SBA gives you. But I'm here today to talk about 5 tips that actually to happen before you actually start here that can trip you up. So I'm sure you guys have heard the statistics. Yes, most businesses fail within the 5 years. Actually, the statistics say about 67% of businesses fail within the first 10 years, but not all do. You definitely want to be in the second group that not all do, and it is possible. Now, I want some participation here. Drop in the chats. Why do you think businesses fail? What are the reasons you guys have heard that businesses fail? You guys and you ladies. What are some reasons that you've heard that a business tanked? Lack of planning, Ronald says. Regina says lack of preparation and research for the industry, lack of focus, loving it. Yes, yes. Not consistent. Yes, absolutely. Lack of funding is not a true passion. Oh, that's a big one. Absolutely. Somebody has peeked into my slideshow already. You guys are good. You've already peeked into my slideshow. So here are some reasons, and they're not in any particular order. Lack of innovation. Somebody said that. Not communicating value to a customer. Failure to adapt to change quickly enough, right? Look at the pandemic. Those businesses who had all of their supply chain in China and we closed down for the pandemic, many of them went away because they couldn't adapt fast enough to find other supply routes, right? Hiring the wrong people, okay? Poor marketing strategies, losing sight of your customers, so caught up with making money that you lose sight of what your customer really wants. Don't understand the industry. And somebody said that. Not hiring enough staff. You've got the business coming in, you don't hire enough staff or the right staff, right? Lack of differentiation, failing to make yourself different. Yes, there are all these burger places out there, but if you don't make yourself a different burger place, nobody's going to come, right? You lose a passion. Somebody, Reverend Dr. Patricia said that, yes, you lose passion, inability to scale your business, lack of cash flow. Someone mentioned funding and no vision. Someone mentioned that one too. I often discuss this with people. My people perish for lack of a vision. It is no truer than entrepreneurship. It is so true, right? So my first promise to you, tip number one, the biggest obstacle for entrepreneurs is actually mindset. I know you're going to think like it's funding. No, it is mindset. People will start their entrepreneur journey with no idea of the types of mindset blocks they carry with them. I mentioned to you at the beginning of the show, I grew up in poverty. I came out of poverty, fell back into poverty as a single parent, right? I mentioned to you that I received trauma from bullying. Depending on how much you're bullied, yes, that is trauma. Some of you may have Googled me, looked me up. You'll know that I'm also a licensed therapist in addition to a certified coach. So, yes, bullying is a type of trauma, especially if you go through it for quite a bit of your life, whether that's in school or with your family, right? And then I talked to you about that I have anxiety. And the reason why I mentioned all of those things that you don't see, you can't see that looking at me, right? But those things affected my mindset. Some of the things, the ways it affected me, fear, trust. I had anxiety, social anxiety, so I feared people, right? I feared asking people for help. So I feared trusting people. Success guilt. I had been in out of poverty a couple of times that I was afraid, right, to be successful. Then there's a poverty mindset. Nope, you're born here, that's where you stay, right? Money guilt. Some people have guilt around money. And I kind of felt like the keynote speaker today, I think he had peeked at my slides as well, because yes, the Bible does not say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money. But most of us grow up being told that money is the root of evil, and we feel guilty when our businesses start being successful. We feel guilty at looking at the potential money we can make. That's a mindset, a money guilt mindset. Low self value, money. I definitely dealt with this one, right? A scarcity mindset, like I can't get enough and there'll never be enough no matter how I work. Those are all mindsets, inability to seek advice. They follow you into entrepreneurship. Now, money mindset issues will lead to upper limiting beliefs, and I've listed out four there. Upper limiting beliefs cause self sabotage every time you're near success or you just start thinking about success. Now, these four upper limiting beliefs, they actually come from Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap. If you have mindset issues, mindset challenges, it is a wonderful book to read. It's The Big Leap, LEAP by Gay Hendricks. He categorizes upper limiting beliefs in four different categories. Feeling fundamentally flawed. I came into this earth flawed. I came here poor. I never do this. I can't get out of my station. This is all I ever be. Then there's also the disloyalty and abandonment, which I went through as well. I was here. And if I'm too successful, no one else is going to come with me. I'm going to be alone. And I don't want to be alone. I don't want to abandon the people that I've known all of my life. And there's the belief that a lot of people run into: more money brings more problems, more burdens. You don't want more money. You don't want more success because it just brings all these problems along with it. Those are upper limit beliefs that will follow you. You may be conscious of them or you may be totally blind to them. when you start thinking about your entrepreneurial journey. And then the fear of outshining. How many people have been in families or seen this? You have a child that's like gorgeous, beautiful. You don't be showing that off because you don't want all the other girls to think that they're not as pretty as you. You put that on the bushel. You don't shine your light that fast. You don't outshine people. Don't make them feel bad. Hearing that message over and over sets up a limiting belief where you're afraid of success because you're looking around afraid of who you're outshining. That stuff all follows you. Okay. So I want you to take a moment, and you can do this on your own. If you feel comfortable sharing it in the chat, fine. But write down any mindsets that you feel may be holding you back from the things I've discussed. I'm going to pop back so you actually can look at the ones I discussed on this screen, the different mindset blocks that can happen. Fear of failure. Yes, yes. And I also want you to go ahead and take another look at those upper limiting beliefs. Failure was a huge one for me. I stayed stuck for 5 years before I ever started my first business. 5 long years telling myself, I can't come up with the name. That's why I can't start my business. Was fear of failure. We'll talk about those last two on tip number 5. Okay. So yes, it is important. So the reason why I stopped here and I wanted you to write it down, because that's how you start working through this stuff. Write it down, because self-sabotage sets up a cycle. If you've noticed a pattern in your life where things are going great and all of a sudden you forget to do something, or you just sit and procrastinate, you can't seem to push yourself to do something, and then you fall back down, you're like, you fail and you start all over again, you do good and you get really, really close and then you fall back down. Probably you're dealing with a hidden upper limit belief that's causing that cycle of self-sabotage that will follow you into entrepreneurship. So you have to work on that. All right, so let's talk about my first case study here. So this is Teresa. She's a therapist, and I told you guys I'm also a licensed therapist. So Teresa found somebody told somebody that told somebody that told her that I had started a business, right? I started my private practice for counseling. And so she had finished her licensing process about a year before we met, but she was afraid. She was afraid to go into a business. She's like, I got a family to support. There's no way I can quit my job and wait on my private practice to be successful enough to support me, so I can't go into private practice. I actually coached her to tell her so she could see you don't have to quit your job just because you're starting a business. You can actually do both, right? That's exactly what I did. I worked for the federal government for about 10 and a half years before I actually, left full-time employment to become a full-time entrepreneur, right? So she was able to shift her mindset out of that fear of failure, fear of poverty. And it's a real thing. When she's been in poverty, the fear of going back in poverty is a real thing, people. I'm here to tell you, it really is, right? But she shifted her mindset to realize she can do both, work for someone else and start her business, until she was successful enough to support her family. So she thanked me because not only did I help with the mindset issue, but I also made a referral to her for an office. So she found the perfect office for her. And I actually still refer clients to her. Lack of health care. Yes, Erroneous. Thank you. That was the last 2 years. That was my fear about making that jump. And I actually found insurance that was cheaper than the federal government. So here I am today, full-time entrepreneur, right? It can be done. So let's talk about my tip number 2, motivation. You have to be self-motivated, right? Because guess what? There's not a boss there telling you to be motivated when you're the entrepreneur, because you're the person in charge, right? But here's the thing. In order to keep motivation, it's easy on those hallelujah days. You got that big order. You successfully fill that big order. You fill your private practice. You got your products out. You're a client. I had a client that got a job and got an $80,000 raise. Yes, that was like, hallelujah, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. But you also need motivation for the, are you freaking kidding me days? Everybody called off sick today? Are you serious? Or what do you mean all the workers at the port went on strike and I can't get my products? You got to have motivation to last through those are you freaking kidding me days. Because guess what? Money doesn't cover it. Sorry, money does not cover it. If money was a sole motivator, Most of you will stay in those six-figure jobs just as happy as pie making that money. But you're not, because you're not doing your why, right? So money doesn't cut it. You got to have motivation. Your motivation equals your why. Why are you going into business? And it should be the product of adding your why plus the value you're providing to that customer plus their results. If you get those three right, you will automatically get money. You don't have to really worry about it. It will come, right? Because I can guarantee you, if you're not providing customer value, customers not getting results, you will not be getting money. It is just that simple, right? But it can't be all about the money, because it just doesn't make you happy. Research says that after $100,000, money no longer makes you happy. So you can get $1,000,000, you can get 5 million, you can get 500 million. It's not going to make you happy after the first 100,000, which is kind of amazing, right? So in order to sustain that motivation, here are the tips. And these are things that I had to learn. You have to know your self-worth, and it can't be the amount of money in your checking account. It's not it. Because otherwise you'll be on a roller coaster, like, oh, I got money in the account. Yes, I have self-worth. Oh my God, this piece of equipment fell. We had to use our money to buy new equipment. Now I don't have worth. You can't be on that roller coaster. It is miserable. So you have to know your self-worth and disassociate it from what's in your checking accounts, what's in your mutual fund, what is in your stocks and your bonds, all of that. It's not your self-worth, right? You also have to be self-disciplined, because again, you're the boss. There's nobody going to check in on you to make sure you're doing what you're doing. And then I felt like, again, the keynote speaker today, I felt like he was peeking in my slides here. You have to maintain a work-life balance, because if you work yourself into a grave, the business is not going to help you. It's not going to help your family. Your customers are not going to get help either, right? And so I do not believe in the perfect work-life balance, 50% here and 50% there. I believe that it's an up and down, but you have to maintain that, because it doesn't make sense to have a successful business and lose your entire family, all your friends, and everybody else along with that. And also, you have to maintain focus on giving value to the customer, because boredom will tank your business. I'm a person who cannot be bored. I don't do boredom well, right? And if you're an entrepreneur and you're bored, that's going to come across, that energy is going to come across to your customers. They feel that. And so you have to maintain that focus. You also have to be a lifelong learner. I know some folks said, when I graduate high school, when I get rid of this, we get done with this college degree, I'll never take another training class ever again in my life. No, you need to learn, be a lifelong learner. It's not always about sitting in a college classroom. Some of that is networking with people, going to conferences, going to symposiums like this, right? But you need to be a lifelong learner, or you will certainly get left behind. So Regina says, I love to learn and help others as well. Yes, it's one of my favorite things to do is this form, is to be and to teach, right? So Aronia said, this is so confirming. Thank you for the feedback, guys. I love that. I'm used to being on a stage where I can see people. So I love the feedback, because you guys are helping me out, telling me I'm on the right path. Okay. So this is your time. Take a few moments here, and I want you to write down your why. Why do you want to go into business? And that's going to become really important. A couple of tips down as well. And as well, I want you to talk about the value you're going to add to your customer. You can put this in the chat or not. I just really need you to write it down so you are aware of that. Okay. And also write down, what results will your customers be expecting from you? We talked about intentions, right? So these are like intentions. So Aronia says, my mission in life is to teach life skills using technology tools to understand populations. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So that really is for you. Those are your intentions. Keep up with those, because that's your bellwether of how you're doing in your business. And I am just a little bit behind, so I want to speed it up just a little bit. We're on tip 3, so I think we're going to have a good time, right? Tip number 3, make a business plan. Yes, you saw that was step number 2 in as small business administration, things you needed to do was step 2. And so I'm reiterating it again. And I think again that our keynote speaker was peeking at my slides, because he said this morning. If you plan to fail, then you fail to plan. Yeah, if you fail to plan, then you just basically planning to fail. Absolutely, right? So a business plan is your guide through the business. And guess what? It doesn't have to be 80 pages long. It doesn't have to cost you $3, $4, $5,000 for someone to make one for you. I know people are doing that, but it's not necessary depending on your businesses, right? Some businesses will have a 500-page long business plan, right? If you're talking about environmental studies and cutting down trees and animals and all that kind of stuff, yeah, your business plan may be that detailed, but most of us starting out don't. Your business plan may be 500 to 600 words, right? You start simple and build it as you grow. The business plan I started 11 years ago when I started my business, my first business, JBC Counseling and Consulting, it didn't need 30 pages, right? It was very simple. And I also give you a resource here. Don't worry about that business plan and paying people all that money for, because you can get free help from SCORE with the Small Business Administration. When you get the slides, I think that link should be clickable for you to get there. Otherwise, Google free business plan help with SCORE. It's all laid out for you. And these are the things that at the very least that you need in your business plan. And I don't go into detail here because there are a number of people that are sharing with you how to do that. But without a business plan, you can't answer these questions. They're very important to know, but you can't answer those questions, right? All these things. Now, I want to talk about a plan that most people don't talk about. So this is a big piece of my tip, right? Now, Regina says, yes, as well as use internet to see samples of business plans that are similar to yours as well. Yes, that research you don't have to copy, but you can sure be inspired by other people's business plan. I am all about that. Do not reinvent the wheel. It is not necessary in the days and age of the internet, right? So the plan that I want to talk to you today is the support team plan, right? Your spouse, you guys can have the best relationship ever, or it could be rocky, who knows? And your spouse could love you to the moon and back, and you can love him or her to the moon and back. But guess what? That person may not be your entrepreneurial support. They may not be. Your family can be inspired, they can love you, or they can just leave you hanging, or worse, they can be let me borrow long. You got a business. I know you got money. You can spot me 1,000, spot me 500. I know you got it, right? Friends can be supportive, or friends can turn into that money thing up there too, or your friends could disappear. What you have to do is build a support team plan with the understanding that your entrepreneurship, your dream is yours. It's your hustle. It's not your family. It's not your friends. It's not your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. It's yours, not theirs. You have to understand that, because not everybody will understand your dream. Also, even if it is a family business, you still need a support team. All of you need your own support team. Because if you're in a family business, you're working together all day long, and somebody makes a boneheaded decision that ticks you off, you can't go home and vent because, well, you work with your partner or your family. You can't vent. You need your own space to vent. And that's whether you hire a coach, get mentors, join masterminds, join networking groups, who are in the same niche as you are, but get your support team in place before you need it, because it's painful when everybody leaves you on the entrepreneur journey, right? It's painful. I'm going to go ahead and go to step 4. Match your need to a why, because if you have a why and a business that provides a service that nobody buys, nobody wants, that's an epic fail. You just failed. You don't have a business. Don't believe me? Anybody here purchase any of these things? Can you purchase Colgate's lasagna beef? And yes, people, that's the Colgate toothpaste, people. The mouthwash people, they have a beef lasagna that they made. Anybody buying that right now? What about that Crystal Pepsi? What about that Cheetos lip balm? How many of you have bought that? Probably none of you have, right? None of you have bought these things, right? When you create your client avatar, you got to find where your client resides. Because if your why, what you want to do, why you want to do it, if it doesn't have a client, you don't have a business. And be very careful of spending so much money before you've identified a target client. I know people right now that have wasted money on supplies. They're sitting in the warehouse, they're paying for the warehouse, and they can't sell to anybody because nobody wanted their stuff. Okay. And my last tip is real simple. Make a decision, start, run, walk, crawl, roll, skip, bounce, whatever it is, just start. Okay. Perfection and procrastination will kill you, will kill your business, because you're wait. Oh, I can't start yet because it's not perfect. I can't start yet because it's perfect. Those are the two arch enemies of a business, an entrepreneur, is waiting, procrastinating, waiting for perfection. So Ronian said, what are the advantages of for-profit versus nonprofit? And so the thing is, even if you're a nonprofit, you still need to get monies in to be able to serve your customers. So you're not selling for the profit, right? Because you're nonprofit, but you got to be able to schmooze and talk to people and get them to donate those monies and give you those grants and things to provide for your customer. Okay. So some of the things you can do to get started, to act, to move, to start, right? Give yourself a deadline. Hire a coach. I have a business coach and I have a mentor coach, and I'm also a member of a number of groups. I have a free Facebook group, Courage to Launch Your Business, that you can join. You want to be in the arena in groups with other people on the same journey, right? You don't have to quit your job. In fact, if you're not financially supportive without quitting that job, keep it, because if you need to get funded, no one's going to fund you if you're not financially supported, right? I ran my private practice for 10 years before I left for full-time employment. Okay. So I have one more case study I'm going to go through because I know I'm 1 minute over. This is one of my clients, Esther, that was stuck in a job and she was afraid. Two hallmarks of procrastination. She was afraid to leave, mindset issues as well. So I coached her to see that she had value, and I did confidence coaching with her. And let me tell you what Miss Esther did. About 5 months later, she dropped the paperwork, started her own business. It's not why she came to me. She came to me to find another job, but she dropped her paperwork, started her business. She actually got her first client, walked in the next week, resigned from the job that was underpaying her anyway and undervaluing her. She also liked the hybrid, and she could do that because her husband was like, you need to quit the job, and she didn't want to. So she had financial support. She's one of the ones that could. She liked the hybrid business model. So she actually interviewed for a job, became the VP of a PR firm, but negotiated, by the way, I have my own business. I need it to be run. I need to run that, and I need to spend time with my family as well. And this is last slide here. There is more than one way to happiness. You just have to find yours. And it may not look like mine or the next person's, right? Whether you quit your job and start your business or you don't, you work 10 years like I did before, find your own happiness. Okay. So these were my 5 promises to you. And I promised you that I would give you the link to my PowerPoint slides. You can access them here, sign up for them here. I also mentioned that I have a free Facebook group, Courage to Launch Your Business with Confidence. I'm also going to pop that there, so you have access to that as well. Okay. And I am a couple of minutes over, about 3 minutes over. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not sure how many minutes I have for questions, but I would love them. Yes, put them in the chat. I would love to answer. So Aronia talks about not having a board of directors. And so I'm not well versed in the board of directors for nonprofits, but I will say that I do know some folks without one or without the whole entire laid out board. So it just depends. I would say look at other people who are doing about the same thing that you are, see how they have that set up. Okay. Thank you. Eroni says, this has met my goals for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I do appreciate that, because you can run your business and work for another company. I actually started my second business. I pulled it out of my counseling and stood up my coaching business. So I actually had 2 businesses, and I was working full time for the federal government. And the point that someone made before, I kind of hesitated about leaving because I wanted my kids to have insurance. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, so I knew I could get treated at the VA hospital. But I did actually find, through networking, literally networking, I found insurance for both my girls that was less than what I was paying for the federal government. Again, networking, being in the presence of others who are on your journey is very important, right? In February of 2021, I became a full-time entrepreneur. So this is what I do full-time. You have my contact information. So if you need to reach me, you can email me. You can find me. There's my phone number. There's my website. You can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of that. I do appreciate you all for being here. You're so welcome, Miss Regina. I appreciate you for being here. Do sign up. Go ahead and click to get the slides there, and I appreciate it. So I don't want to be on here any longer than I'm supposed to, so I don't know if I should close out. Miss Patricia, let me take your email address. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. You guys are so kind. I appreciate that. As someone who stuttered, believe it or not, and had to have special education classes because I couldn't speak well, thank you guys because you're really helping me out here. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ronald. I appreciate that. So, if there are no further questions, I am going to leave. And I'm going to pop over to the networking if anybody else wants to chat with me. Um, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Patricia. I appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Thank you.